Gary Mitchell Albright, born May 18, 1963, and hailing from North Kingston, Rhode Island, was what many of us call the master of the suplex. Welcome to Wrestling Through the Ages. Gary Albright was a monster of a man, at 6 foot 4 inches and weighing at a staggering 353 pounds. Started off wrestling on a serious level for Billings West High School in Billings, Montana, where he had a 55-2 record. Needless to say, he became the 1980 Montana State Champion, placed second in 1981 as well. Albright would go on to set the NCAA record for Nebraska University at 38 falls for the 85-86 season. Here's a summary of his amateur wrestling accomplishments. 1980 Montana State Champion. University of Nebraska, 54 wins, 4 losses, and 3 draw. Big 8 champion, as well as Big 8 All-Academic champion. NCAA runner-up, 1982 Freestyle Champion, 1981 World Greco-Roman Elite Champion, and he took part as a UST member for the 81-84 season. As is the norm with many wrestlers, Gary Albright would move his skill set over to the professional wrestling side of things. Gary graduated in 1988 and began training under alumni Lou Thez, Danny Hodge, and Billy Robinson. And in 1988, Albright got to join Stu Hart's Stampede Wrestling with little help from Brian Pillman. Albright started off as a face, defeating Jonathan Holliday, Biff Wellington, lost to Steve Blackman twice, and won on August 12 of 1988 and August 13 of 1988 after losing 3 matches to Steve DeSalvo and lost to Steve Blackman twice. Gary would undergo portraying a bad guy, taking on the Volkan Singh moniker, billed out of Karachi, Pakistan. He had a 13-match feud against Steve Blackman. Began tagging with Makan Singh, who you may all know better as Terrible Bastion Booger. And on December 30th of 1988, Karachi Vice won the Stampede International Tag titles from the British Bulldogs at the Victoria Pavilion in Calgary, Alberta. 24 matches, 4 months, and 8 days would pass until Karachi Vice lost the titles to Biff Wellington and a young Chris Benoit in my hometown of Edmonton, Alberta on August 4th of 1989. Gary was spreading his wings and seeking new territory to make his mark, who would briefly wrestle for the USWA in Memphis, Tennessee, beating Doug Gilbert. He lost twice to Mike Rotunda during 2 WCW house shows. And Gary would get his first taste of Japan on June 14 of 1990, tagging with Black Cat and losing to Kaiji Muto and Masahiro Chono. Imagine going up against these two as your first Japanese matches. During New Japan Pro Wrestling Battle Line Kyushu, he lost to Shinya Hashimoto 2 days later, and then lost to Masa Saito. That is 4 legendary wrestlers in a 6-day span. Things were looking up for Gary, and then, with Japanese eyes on the young hopeful, and with a little help from Bruce Hart, Gary got signed to a multi-year deal with a brand new UWFi shoot wrestling promotion. I have a video out about this promotion already, so here's a montage. That was satisfying. Anyway, on September 21st of 1992, the Suplex machine put Nobuhiko Takada over in a 20-minute brawler of a match for the UWFi World Heavyweight title in Osaka, Japan. He delivered a devastating German suplex to Dennis Kozlowski and wrestled him twice more. He also tagged with Dan Severn and lost to the powerhouse team of Salman Hashimikov and Vladimir Berkovic in Tokyo. Gary also took part in that year's UWFi Best of the World 1994 tournament, beating Billy Scott, Yoji Anjo, and he lost to Nobuhiko Takada in the semi-final and got 3rd place, defeating Kiyoshi Tamura by knockout. Vader got 1st place by defeating Takada. The next big dream match was going to be Vader versus Gary Albright, and anyone with a brain could see the dollar bills in this matchup. He even teased us with some tag bouts, with Gary tagging with Kazuo Yamazaki and defeating John Tenta and Vader, then lost to the same team 6 days later. Then the biggest match in UWFi history took place, Super Vader versus Gary Albright at Nippon Budokan in front of 16,500 fans. It was a hell of a brawl, but Vader ended up defeating Gary with a chokehold. Well, with 6 months left in his contract and diminishing crowd returns for the UWFi, Gary saw the writing on the wall. And on October 2nd of 1995, he joined the All Japan Pro Wrestling roster, tagging with Gaijin booker Johnny Ace and the Patriot, defeating super hot megastar Super Generation Army, consisting of Kenta Kobashi, Yun Akiyama, and Takao Omori in front of 2,800 fans at Shizuoka Hall. They joined Gary up with the likes of Stan Lariato, Hansen, Johnny Smith, and a young Rob Van Dam, until it was decided that Gary would team up with Stan Hansen for the 1995 Real World Tag League, defeating the teams of the Can-Am Express, Giant Baba and Tamon Honda, Johnny Smith and Rob Van Dam, and he lost to Kenta Kobashi and Mitsuharu Misawa. Gary and Stan didn't win the World's Strongest Tag Determination League, but they got a comfortable third place. Fast forward 2 months and we would see Gary and Stan Hansen defeat Akira Taue and Toshiaki Kawada for the All Japan Pro Wrestling World Tag Team titles. They'd lose these titles 4 weeks later on February 20 of 1996. Albright and Mitsuharu Misawa had a Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship match on March 2nd of 1996, where Misawa's true fighting spirit proved too much as he secured and retained his prestigious championship. This was Albright's only shot at the Triple Crown Championship. The remainder of 1996 didn't treat Gary too well. 7th place at Champion Carnival, as well as finishing last at 1996 World's Strongest Tag Determination League with tag team partner Sabu. He then, strangely enough, made a surprising ECW appearance during December of 1996 Holiday Hell pay-per-view, squashing Rick Rage in 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Gary would team up with Dr. Death Steve Williams and Lacrosse, forming the Triangle of Power. The Triangle of Power, Dr. Death and Albright, defeated Johnny Ace and Kenta Kobashi during All Japan Pro Wrestling Summer Action Series. They beat and retained the belts against Super Generation Army, consisting of Jun Akiyama and Mitsuharu Misawa, during that year's Summer Action Series 2. But then lost the belts to Johnny Ace and Kenta Kobashi on October's Giant Series. Although having lost the belts, Gary and Steve Williams finished 3rd at December 97's World's Strongest Tag Determination League. Gary would keep tagging with Dr. Death throughout 98 and lost the All Japan Pro Wrestling Tag Title opportunity to the Holy Demon Army, consisting of Akira Taue and Toshiaki Kawada, on February 28 of 98. Williams and Albright were now the top leading Gaijin tag team. Gary could finally exhale, because usually that means one or both get moved to the top upper tier singles bracket. But sadly, Steve Williams had other plans and left All Japan Pro Wrestling for the WWF, taking most of the win out of Albright's sales, which is depressing seeing he had a stellar 1997 and fantastic half of 98. But with both Williams gone and Lacrosse dropping the gimmick, Gary was dropped back to mid-card status, tagging with randoms. He teamed up with Giant Kimala, mostly losing on All Japan Pro Wrestling TV tapings and winning sporadically on house shows against lower card wrestlers. But hey, 1999 is here, and it's a brand new year for a suplex master, king of the suplex if you will. He scored 2 wins tagging with Giant Kimala and Yoshihiro Takayama, defeating Masahiro Kakihara and Masawi Inoue, and Takao Omori at that year's New Year's Giant Series, and besting the team of Bart Gunn, Johnny Ace, and Yoshinari Ogawa. Let's fast forward a little to 1999's Champion Carnival. Gary lost in a brawler of a bout against legend Mitsuharu Misawa. It's never a dull moment when these two meet in the ring. He defeated Takao Omori the following day. He tagged with Yoshihiro Takayama one day later and defeated Monake, Mossman, and Vader. Vader got his on April 4th of 1999 in a hell of a slobber knocker. Gary entered back on July 17 of 1999 at that year's Summer Action Series, tagging again with Takao Omori, defeating Monake, Mossman, and Vader inside Korakuen Hall. Vader and Gary lost to Kobashi and Yun Akiyama at Nippon Budokan in a sold-out 16,500 TV taping. The Triangle of Power was reformed with Yoshihiro Takayama and Takao Omori. Well, 1999 is a little back and forth, but it's proving to be a pretty good year so far. 1999's Real World Tag League came around firing off on November 11 of 99. Gary only won 1 match, tagging with Wolf Hawkfield, besting the team of longtime rival and best friend Masawi Inoue and teammate Tamon Honda. He had his final All Japan Pro Wrestling match, defeating bestie Masawi Inoue. He had his final match for All Japan Pro Wrestling, defeating bestie Masao Inoue in front of 16,300 fans at Nippon Budokan on December 3rd of 1999. On January 7 of 2000, Gary wrestled his final match for his wife's family's promotion, now renamed World Extreme Wrestling, in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, against indie undercard Lucifer Grimm. After Gary took what looked like a normal cutter from Grimm, all life left the big man's body. A shaken and worried Grimm, not knowing what to do, rolled Gary's body on top of himself and lost the match as pre-planned. Albright was pronounced dead. The official cause of death was a heart attack due to enlarged heart caused by several blocked coronary arteries. He was only 36. Not how I usually like to end these episodes, but sadly, that's the way life goes sometimes. Thanks for sticking around to the end, everyone. I do these episodes for you, the wrestling fans. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and tell your friends. Cheers, and I'll see you next time for another episode of Wrestling Through the Ages.